Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Before I get started, I want to mention to you a prayer request that I have. This is someone, well, he's a viewer of this channel and within our community. His name's Bobby, and he had a pretty serious heart attack last night and is in ICU, not doing too well. But we know that the Father can turn things around. He is the great physician. And so I request that those of you that pray to please remember him in prayer today, so that he can come out on the winning side of this one. It's a little chilly out here and windy, so if there's some wind noise, I apologize. There's only so much I can do when it comes to wind noise and filming outside. Wanted to, ask you a question. What would you do if it happened right now? What would you do if something big, all the possibilities that we talk about on a pretty regular basis of something really big happening, what would you do if it happened right now? If before this video ends, you get a call or an alert, or if everything just goes dark, what would you do? Are you ready? Have you thought that out? How would you react? Who would you call? Where would you go? What would you grab? What do you have around you to grab? This is something that we all need to be thinking about on a somewhat regular basis. We should war game it out in our heads. For those of you that may not know exactly what war game means, it's just a fancy adult way of saying you need to play in your mind and pretend. What would happen if some of these catastrophic things that we hear about on a regular basis that could possibly happen, what if they did happen? And how would you react to it? I'm not talking about, well, if things got bad, I would run to the store and I need to stock up on this and I need to work on my water supply. You know, I should have some more fuel. I'm talking about what you would do right now. Right now, if something catastrophic happened. Because it's possible that it could happen. It may only be months away before something very catastrophic happens. It could be weeks, could be today. And we should always strive to be as prepared as we can in the moment. Even if you don't have all the cool gadgets, if your bug out bag isn't around you, if you're not at home where you have all your preps, what would you do in that moment if something happened? This is something that I think is very important, because a lot of people they have this idea in their mind that, if the world comes to an end, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to react this way. But is it reacting in that very moment as it happens? A lot of times we get kind of shell-shocked. It's a very common human thing that when something really bad happens, say you're in a car wreck, or you see a car wreck happen, or you see someone fall really bad and hurt themselves, a lot of times we're shocked and we kind of freeze. We got that deer in the headlight look, and what do we do? It really takes a trained mind to kind of push through that very quickly and rush to someone's aid, or to react for your own aid. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be training our mind. This is part of that mental preparedness that I talk about often. We need to be training our minds so that if something like this was to happen, and there's a lot of possibilities out there, that we are mentally prepared to react in that moment. What do you have on your person right now? Something happened, maybe you're sitting there in your pajamas watching this show. Maybe you're driving to work. Maybe you're at work. Maybe you're fixing breakfast, or you're teaching the kids school, or whatever it is. What do you have right now at your ready to react to an emergency? Are you capable of doing that? If there was a threat upon your life, are you capable of reacting to that? Are you carrying right now? Do you have the ability to protect yourself and your family if something were to happen in this moment, if someone were to burst into your home right now? Do you know what you would do if you got the call or the alert that we were under some type of attack? Just yesterday, I believe it was, North Korea launched the largest missile that they've ever launched. It was an intercontinental ballistic missile. It's believed to be something powerful enough and big enough to reach most of the mainland of the United States. What if it was armed and it landed here? What would you do? I don't necessarily have the answers because it's going to be different for everyone. I know what I would do, but what would you do? What is your plan? If you're on your way to work and the alert comes out over the radio that, we're under attack, there's a nuclear warhead on its way, or it's already landed, they hit the East Coast, they hit the West Coast, whatever. What would you do? Would you stop, sit there and think, try to figure out what's the best plan? Would you spin that car around and head back home? Is there any place that you would stop off on the way home, potentially stocking up on things? Is there someone that you need to go grab? You need to run to the school and grab your kid or your wife to her work, or your adult children at college. What is your plan? And this is something that seriously, I think we're well beyond the point of thinking about this. It's not that we're just now getting to this point. We need to be thinking about this on a fairly regular basis. And what it does is it trains our mind. It creates a kind of a muscle memory when it comes to our mind. It desensitizes us to the shock of something happening, so that when we hear that, or when our cell phones go black and the car shut down, or whatever it is, we're not in such shock that it slows down our response time. And that's something that you really don't want to happen, because depending on the scenario, you may only have seconds or minutes to respond, and that quick response time could really increase the probability of your survival. So when you're thinking this out, that's really what you're doing. And you're also pre-planning. You're not having to sit there after it all happens. Bomb goes off, lights go out, banks runs start happening, whatever it is. You're not having to sit there and think, okay, now what should I do? I don't know. Maybe I should do this. Maybe, I don't know. Is that a good idea? Should I do that? You've already thought this out. You've already planned it out in your head. You know exactly what you should do. Your plan starts going into motion. I would suggest is you talk to your spouses about this and work this out together. You can talk it out. You could role play it. You could actually do physical training and do it with your entire family, with your children. What would happen? If something catastrophic happened and we had to grab our bags and go, or we had to hunker down in the house, what would we pull inside the house? What are we going to do with the animals? What are we going to do to, get things done? Around here, just as an example, and this is a small one, but it's still an example. One of the things that our kids know to do is that something really bad happens, and it could just be, say, a tornado. If there's a chance of a tornado or some type of storm, the first thing that I tell them to do is, or one of the first things, is fill all the water jugs. Make sure everything that all our water containers that we would use for preps and stuff are topped off. Bathtubs filled. Maybe we have designated buckets or something. Get them filled so that we have extra water on hand, just in case. Just in case the power goes out. Just in case the water stops coming through the pipes. So have that already planned out. And you can even, like I said, go through a little bit of a training with them. And you need to do it more than just once. You need to kind of play this out a few times to where it becomes very natural, to where the children aren't, or you or your spouse aren't, scared, and you're not, so excited that you're nervous and you're twitching and you're shaking and all this kind of stuff. That's why, military and police, they train often, or at least they should, so that it becomes so natural that when you're in a firefight, you don't choke, freeze, start shaking. You just, draw and go to town. We should do the same kind of thing in the preparations that we are working on, because it could happen at a moment's notice. It may not. I'm not saying that it will. I'm not making any predictions. I'm saying that the possibility of something happening in our lives, and in the near future, even in the near future, the possibility of something happening that could be very, very catastrophic, that would require us to react at a moment's notice, is becoming more and more of a real possibility. And we should not we should not just ignore that fact. It's not being a doomsdayer. It's not being in fear. In fact, prepping is the opposite of fear. Really, it's understanding that something bad could happen and that you could become very terrified and petrified because of that. And so instead of doing that, you take that energy and you become prepared. You work towards it. You work it out mentally. You work it out physically, spiritually. You get yourself ready. And so along with your preps, along with your self-sufficiency, you should be training yourself, your mind and your body, to get ready in a moment's notice if it happens. Because like I said, there's just too many things going on in the world right now that could cause a catastrophic thing to happen. And it doesn't have to be that a bomb went off in your backyard. It could be that something really bad is happening and you run to the store, you fill up gas tanks, you know, there's a few things you know that you would get, you bring them home, you lock the house down, you know, your family may be getting things ready at the house for that. By the time you get back home, you're on lockdown. Whatever it is, think about it, plan for it, and train for it, because there's a real possibility that one of those scenarios could happen within the next weeks and months. We don't know, and we would be foolish not to plan for it. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.